What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Minnesota Fishing Brothers. In today's video, we're going to be going over our 2020 rod and reel arsenal for ice fishing. Before we get this video underway, just want to mention we noticed we got a lot of subscribers and a decent amount of views on our last video on the setup. So I want to say thank you to for that, and to all the new people, welcome. Welcome to the channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to go down, click that. Also click like, and Instagram will be top link in the bio. With that out of the way, let's get into our rod and reel setups. So we're going to start off with Panfish and move up from there. Basic on that, we use fluorocarbon on all our Panfish setups. So let's talk about our favorite and kind of our one of our best setups. We both are running these tuned up custom bullwhips. We're kind of new to the tuned up custom game, and I tell you, that tip right there, so good, so good. I run on mine a 13 Fishing Black Betty Freefall, the metal one. This is a couple-year-old one which doesn't have that line guide, which is a very nice upgrade. I will be getting a new reel for this thing, but for now, this is my tuned up custom bullwhip. I believe this is a 32-inch bullwhip. I'm thinking something like that. And I think you have what, a 20?
I have a 30.
A 30, yep. And then
I have a Freefall XL, brand new reel. Just got it this fall. Haven't used it, so I don't know how it'll work. I have 4-pound fluoro on here, and then a Mongo jig, VMC Mongo jig. Best jig in the business.
Absolutely.
If you want to get bass.
Oh yeah. So let's move on. This is what we actually started out with when we got into using noodle tip rods, and these are, I would say, probably the best noodle tip you can get. Currently, these things run about $50. I'll actually link these ones in the description. Because I think they're such a good bargain. Tuned up customs are great, but they're a little bit more on the spendy side, where these, for just a rod for $50, I don't think you can go wrong. I think a rod, honestly, for ice fishing is more important than the reel. But these are 27-inch ultra lights, and these have a much softer tip than the bullwhips. So to be completely honest, I would probably, if you're just getting into it, I would probably go with a light. But I tell you, these things detect crappie bites like no other. Big fan of these rods. For a reel, I'm running the old radioactive pickle, which is just kind of a cheaper version of that that Black Betty right there. Kind of a goofy color, but I kind of like it, to be honest. And then I don't have it on there, but I always run a VMC Mongo jig. I don't know why I have this goofy clam jig on there, but, and again, that 3-pound Suffix ice fluoro, best stuff out there.
Yeah, so I also have the tickle stick. I have an ultralight and a medium light, and I would say that I should have got a light instead of both of these. Kind of a mistake. The ultralight, fine for small panfish. Hard to fight big crappies, very hard to fight bass. The medium light's not quite sensitive enough for small bluegill bites. Also, both Black Betty reels. These reels are great. Rods are great for a beginner. I would recommend, if you're just starting out, get a light. But the bullwhip is a far superior rod.
For sure.
But these are good starter rods. These reels are just fine.
Forgot to mention, I also have a medium light, and the kind of purpose for this was for some lighter jigging wraps and stuff like that, which they work good for inside of our clam shacks, which are, unfortunately, they have a sloped ceiling, so oftentimes you hit your tip. That's why we got these a little bit shorter rods. I'm running a Shimano Sienna, which is a great ice fishing reel. I think it seems to be, a lot of guys think it's the best ice fishing reel. And should have mentioned this, but the reason we run these 13 Fishing drop reels, I know that there's problems with them, and everyone will tell you that. We love them because they eliminate line twists. See, the Sienna is great and all, but I can't get over line twists with a traditional spinning reel, where these, they drop it out and there's no line twist. Also, just that drop action is unparalleled.
That one-handed is awesome.
Yep.
You can warm up your other hand.
That is why I run this one, but the line twists get to me when I'm running one of those versus those round ones. So that's the reason we run those drop reels. And personally, at the moment, 13 Fishing seems like they make the best drop reel. Let's transition into kind of our bass / walleye. Even though we're not walleye fishermen, we barely ever do it through the ice. But this year, we will be doing some walleye fishing, so stay tuned for those videos. But let's talk about that. And again, as we get to that, we don't do it much, so that's why we don't have the nicest bass and walleye rods right here. My first one is a little bit lighter. It's the Berkeley Amped Ice, and I know this is a fairly cheap rod. I use this for bass, for jigging baits for bass a lot. One of my favorite ways, and Cam kind of figured this one out, was fishing hyperglides for bass and other jigging baits like that. It's a killer technique for bass, and that's what I got this rod for. I got this a little while ago, but it's a great rod. Just some random 13 Fishing reel on there. It does its job. I don't need anything fancy for this. Again, eventually I'll upgrade, but for now, that does it for me on that. I also have a little bit of a heavier rod. This is more my Pike rod. It's 13 Fishing White Noise, which I think is a really good combo for the money. I generally will run a little bit bigger bait on this, maybe a rip and wrap or a rattle wrap. A lot of times just to attract stuff like that, or if I see a pike on my camera or my flasher. So that's what I have that for. And I have some 10-pound braid on both of those with a little fluorocarbon leader. So that's kind of the philosophy there. Eventually I'll upgrade, but for now that does the job for me.
So I have very similar. This is a Fenwick Fluger combination. It's a Nighthawk rod, and I don't know what the reel is. Fluger long handle reel, which is really
Long stem,
awesome.
yep.
Long stem. This is, so long stem, have a little more room there. This is my kind of bass jigging rod. So like Matt said, use that Acme Hyperglide, Hyper Rattle. I also use a drop shot occasionally on this rod.
Killer.
Fantastic. I have ice braid and then I think 6-pound fluorocarbon on there. So it's kind of my jigging rod. This is my kind of dead stick rod. It's a 13 Fishing HCG, just a cheap $30, $40 combo. And I have it set up for iFish Pro right now with a little spoon for using a minnow. Caught plenty of fish on this. Great setup.
Now let's move into our final rods, which are our heavier pike rods. These we actually bought for going out on Lake Superior and doing lake trout fishing. We didn't want to spend a ton of money on rods, but these are our like pike rods for tip-up fishing, iFish Pros, and now this year our Finicky Foolers, which you'll definitely see us try out and see what we think of those. But again, these are the Berkeley Amped Ice rods. They're just a heavier, medium heavy rod, and we just threw a couple of summer reels on there. And again, these just sit in a tip-up, or we don't run. Some people, I guess, do like a set line or like a dead stick without a flag or anything. I don't really like to do that because it's kind of hard to tell when you have a fish on, but that's what we run for that. Or if we're jigging big baits for pike in a shack. But that's what we run on there, and this is just a Fluger President XT35 off of a summer bass rod, off of my drop shot rod. So that's what I run for that.
Same exact rod. I just have a cheaper Fluger President on here. Great combo. And this is just summer line. I should probably get some sort of winter line for stop freezing up, but that's kind of the issue with rod tip-ups.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. As far as the case we run one of these big Otter Sportsman cases to put our rods in, as well as these single Cabela's rod tubes if we're going out and not intending to bring the full arsenal with us. Those both work great. We just kind of swap in between depending on what we're bringing. But other than that, I think that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks so much for watching. Again, down there, please subscribe, like, and Instagram. I'll link that tickle stick. I don't think I'll link everything just because that'll take a while, but those will be linked down there. And we'll be on the ice soon, hopefully, if the weather picks up.
As soon as there's safe ice.
Yeah, as soon as there's safe ice, we will be out there filming videos for you guys. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.